Most people think a website has just one job to do: convince your visitor to buy. And that was true, but it just isn't true anymore. In the past few years, your website picked up a second job that nobody told it about. Here's what changed. Think about the last time you looked at a house. By the time you actually walked into that house in real life, not a 3D virtual tour, you'd already done most of the work of deciding. You scrolled Zillow, you read the neighborhood reviews, you checked the school district, maybe drove by at night to see what the block felt like. You didn't show up to that walkthrough as a blank slate. You showed up with a verdict already halfway formed. The walkthrough itself wasn't introducing you to the house. It was confirming or contradicting what you've already believed. If the walkthrough you did matched that listing, you probably made an offer. If it didn't, you were out at the door in 5 minutes. The same thing is happening on your website right now. Your buyers aren't arriving cold anymore. They asked ChatGPT about you. They've researched you on Reddit. They've checked with a colleague on Slack, watched a YouTube review. By the time they hit your website, they've already decided most of what they think about you. And your website is the walkthrough, not the listing. Your website has always had a first job: persuasion. And that hasn't changed. Show the immediate value, reduce the friction, compelling headlines, clear call to action, social proof, clean UX. That work is still very real and you still have to do it. But this second job that most teams aren't aware of is just as important: confirmation. When your buyer arrives, they're carrying beliefs, fears they picked up on Reddit, hopes from a review they read, skepticism from a peer's offhand comment. Your website has to confirm what they've already learned off the website, and that they're in the right place, that they've made the right decision because they've already decided to give you a chance. If your website and any other asset, think social posts, emails, ads, say one thing, and your buyer's pre-existing beliefs say another, you lose. So now there are two jobs. Both are required, but most sites are doing just one and completely ignoring the other. Let's walk through what each job actually looks like and how to tell which one your site is missing. Role 1, persuasion. This is the first time your prospect visits your website. Let's go back to the house analogy for a second. This is the first open house. The buyer is walking through, trying to decide whether you're even in the running. Are you serious? Are you credible? Are you in the pricing range? Do they want to come back for a second look? This happens on your website. And this means 4 things have to be true. Number 1, every piece of information a serious buyer would check has to be visible and easy to find on your website. Features, integration, use cases, customer size, industry focus. If the buyer has to dig through 3 menus and a resource center to figure out whether you serve their segment, you've already lost their first round. Number 2, your value prop has to make a clear case for you in under 30 seconds. That doesn't mean a clever headline or a category brag. It must be a clear answer to why you, specifically for this specific buyer. Number 3, your social proof has to match the buyer you're targeting. Generic logos don't work. A mid-market buyer doesn't care that you work with enterprise. An enterprise buyer doesn't care about the scrappy startup testimonials. The proof has to look and sound exactly like them. It has to address their specific concerns and solve it for them. And number 4, the call to action has to match the buyer's stage. Not every first visit should be book a demo. Some people are still reading. You can offer them a case study, a teardown, a comparison guide. Demo pressure at the wrong moment kills trust and kills conversions. The second role of your website, confirmation. This is when a buyer returns to your website after doing off-website research. Back to the house. The second visit is different. Now the buyer has slept on it. They've talked to their partner, called their realtor, looked at comps. They're not coming back to be wowed. They're coming back to verify what they liked and looking for deal breakers. Same thing happens on your website. Here's what this requires from your website. Number 1, consistency with what your buyers heard off of your website. If the Reddit thread said that your onboarding is slow, your site has to address that, not pretend it doesn't exist. Contradicting the outside narrative without acknowledging it is the fastest way to break trust. During the second visit, your website has to address the fears your buyer arrived with on the page where they land. Don't hide these in an FAQ 3 clicks deep or hard to find knowledge base. Address their fears on the page near the buying moment. If your customer is worried about implementation time, the page selling the feature has to speak about implementation time. Number 3, your message has to sound like what your customers actually say about you. If your customers describe you as the only honest option in a category of hype, your headline can't be the leading AI-powered platform. That's not confirmation. That's contradiction. And 4, your website has to resonate on an emotional level. Your website visitors are arriving feeling something specific: skeptical, exhausted, hopeful, nervous. Everything on your website has to meet them where they are on an emotional level, not where you wish they were. When the opinions and feelings your prospects formed about you off of the website contradict your own content, a specific thing happens inside your buyer's head. They feel it before they can even name it. Something's off, something doesn't match. That feeling is what I like to call the trust gap. The trust gap is the distance between what your website is telling your buyer and what they've already decided is true about you. It looks like this. Your site says you're premium, but reviews say you're overpriced and underwhelming. There's a gap. Your site says you're easy to use, but Reddit says onboarding is a nightmare. That's a gap. Your site says you're customer obsessed, but G2 says your support is slow. Another trust gap. Every one of those gaps is costing you a conversion, and it costs you more than that because now your buyer doesn't just leave, they leave trusting you less than when they arrived because now you feel inconsistent. This is the house buyer walking out in 5 minutes. It wasn't that the house was bad. It was that the house didn't match the listing. The contradiction is what killed it. So how do you know if your site has a trust gap or if the first role, persuasion, or the second role, confirmation, are broken? To know this, I have 4 questions for you and answer them honestly. Question number 1, do you know what your buyer heard about you before they arrived on your website? If it's a no, you need to figure that out. Question number 2, does your website messaging match what your customers actually say about you? In reviews, on Reddit, in sales calls. If not, you have a trust gap you haven't diagnosed yet. Number 3, is the information your prospect is looking for visible on your site in under 90 seconds? Is it easy to find on your website? If it isn't, you have a problem. Question 4, does your social proof answer the fears your buyers actually arrive with, or does it just brag? Logos aren't confirmation. Specific stories are. If 3 out of 4 of those questions made you wince, that's useful. You've just diagnosed something most teams never name. The fix is easier than you think, but the diagnosis is the hard part, and you've already done that. Your buyer isn't arriving as a blank slate anymore. They're arriving having already done most of the work deciding. Your website is the final test, and it has to persuade and confirm. One without the other doesn't convert. The teams getting this right don't optimize harder. They optimize wider. They know what their buyer heard before the visit. They've made their site match. They've closed that trust gap. So go look at your site the way a buyer walks into an open house. What did they read about you before they got there? Does your house match that listing? If not, you know where to start.